In this video, we will discuss about sensitization in neuropathic pain. So, how our body or how our brain able to knows that there is a injury in this, that there is an injury, and how this signals it reaches to the brain. We will discuss that thing in brief. And so, whenever there is a chronic nerve injury in this neuron, it will cause a microenvironmental change that will lead to the high H plus ion, and that high H plus ion will cause this high H plus ion will activate this microgalia that will lead to the transcription changes or epigenetic changes occurs that will produce high TX and NIP related genes, and that is that has a role towards this OX4 pathways in the mitochondria. At the same time, it will also promote this reactive oxygen species, and because of this reactive oxygen along with that, what will happen is that it will also upregulates this chronic nerve injury will also upregulates this glycolysis pathway that will cause high lactate production, and this high lactate production will disrupt NAD plus and NADH uh, balance, and this imbalance will cause more this imbalance will cause uh, activation of this NMDAR receptors, and that will lead to the more and these activated DMR receptors will happen at the cost of more intake of the Ca2 plus ion. Ca2 plus ion enters from here also, and also Ca2 plus ion enters from this macroenvironmental change also. And because of that, what will happen is that high Ca2 plus concentration within this microgalia will lead to the activation of pro-inflammatory genes such as TNF, interleukin 1 beta, HIF 1 alpha, PEG2, and this activation of high pro-inflammatory genes will cause or we can say the activation of high pro-inflammatory genes in the vicinity of this in the vicinity of this neuron will cause uh, some changes, will cause the changes within the neurons also, in a way that here also NMDAR receptors will get increased, that will lead to the increase in the amount of Zn2 plus, and this increase in the amount of Zn2 plus will happens when this NMDAR receptors is interact with this phosphorylated SFK pathways, and when the Zn2 plus is when the Zn2 plus ions increases within this neuron, it will lead to this TRBKS pathways activations and the phosphorylation of this ERK. Thereafter, the ERK-CRB pathway phosphorylation within the nucleus will cause this apoptosis and autophagy. At the same time, there is increased pro-inflammatory genes along with this phosphorylated pathway will cause increased excitation and the sensitization that will cause neuropathic pain. This central sensitization that will give signals to the brain about this neuropathic pain. So this is about active microgalia, and similar things happens in this active through these astrocytes also. So in this case, what will happen is that because of the microenvironmental changes, it will cause the activation of this ERK-CRB pathways, and when it reaches to the phosphorylation, this ERK phosphorylated will also activate this CRB phosphorylated that will cause the glycolysis and high lactate production. At the same time, this activation of this ERK-CRB pathway will also cause increase in this serine glutamate along with this lactate, and all of this will leads to the, and this lactate will cause directly affect this postsynaptic neuron. At the same time, this serine glutamate will cause an impact on this Na2 plus receptors on this postsynaptic neuron, and along with that, this ERK-CRB pathway will also helps in the proliferation, activation, and polarization of these active astrocytes, so that the signals through these active astrocytes will be more prominent to this postsynaptic neuron, and will more proliferations these signals such as Na2 plus such as the serine glutamate and lactate productions in the uh, vicinity of this postsynaptic neuron will be increased, and that will cause uh, changes in the postsynaptic neuron through this intake of this Na2 plus and lactate receptors. At the same time, Ca2 plus receptors will also intake high Ca2 plus that is available in the microenvironment or in the vicinity of the postsynaptic neuron and active astrocytes. And all this intake will lead to this increased excitation, and that will cause central sensitization in LTP, and that will give the signals to the brain about this neuropathic pain. So I hope you got a basic idea or brief understanding of this sensitization in neuropathic pain through this because of the chronic nerve injury through this active microgalia and active astrocytes. If you need to understand more about this sensitization in neuropathic pain, you can go through the reference that has been provided in the description. That's all for this video. Thank you for your time.